Let's get ready to rumble!
Hello and welcome to Netflix vs. Cinema, the podcast that goes to the cinema on your behalf every week and tries to see at least three things, stays at home on your behalf every week, tries to see at least three things, rates them all out of 5, and then tries to figure out where our money has been better spent this week. Who is winning this eternal battle for our eyeballs? Is it Netflix or cinema? My name is Tosin and I am your host. I am based up in near Birmingham, somewhere in the middle of the United Kingdom. Joining me as always on the Isle of Wight are Sharon Bolland.
Hello.
And Shaun Harris.
Oh yeah.
It is Isle of Wight this week, right? It isn't Bournemouth.
It is, yeah. It is Isle of Wight this week, yeah.
Yeah, and joining us for the first time in what feels like a month is our London correspondent, Holly Nesling.
Hey.
Welcome back, Holly. Yeah. You have been missed. You have been missed, including with your proclivity to give 5 stars to everything that you've watched for the 15th time, even though in your heart you know it's a 2. But
sometimes needs must. Just saying.
All right, cool. So this week we have in the cinema side of things. What do we? Okay, so we have. I think only 3 of us have been to the cinema this week. Holly, you are the odd one out in that respect. So, Sharon, what have we seen in the cinema this week?
I have only seen the one thing in the cinema this month, actually, and that is Assassin Club.
Assassin's Club.
Is it Assassins with an S or an Assassin singular club? I'm not sure.
With an assassin, I think. Yeah, I think it is a single S. I don't think there's a. I think it's just Assassin Club.
Assassin Club. Okay, cool. I will get rid of that S that I have just put down in the Excel spreadsheet. So now this is a film I'm interested to. I think this might be a fun one because I've heard things about this film, and I think I'm interested to see because Sharon, you saw this film, and you saw this film along with Shaun, right?
Yes, we saw it together last night.
Okay, so who dragged who to see this film?
I think it was fair to say that Shaun initiated this film. But I was like, I was sort of willing captive, really.
A willing participant.
willing.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking forward to hearing about this film because I think this might be glorious. And Shaun, what have you seen in the cinema this week?
Yeah, well, I obviously went to see the Sharon, and I went to see Renfield as well. I managed to see Renfield as well.
Yes, yeah, I saw Renfield because essentially that if you haven't listened to this podcast before, essentially the cinema is Shaun's domain. Shaun owns it. So Shaun sees everything, and then there might be every now and then one of us who sees a film that Shaun hasn't seen. It usually would have to be like maybe a romantic comedy or an animated thing or something along those lines. Like last week, I managed to see Super Mario Brothers and Shaun didn't see it. But okay, so and I've seen Renfield as well. I've seen Renfield as well in the cinema. Now at home, Holly, what have you seen at home?
I have seen, and I have to recheck what I've seen. I have seen The Good Nurse.
Yes.
And Night Agent. I've also seen, for another occasion, Deep House, which is one of the worst films I've ever seen. Save that.
I think that's the review.
Yeah, there we go. One of the worst films I've ever seen, 1 star.
Yeah, we need to put ourselves through that. There's going to be better stuff. To find out.
Yeah. Possibly.
Yeah, I hope so. Oh my God, I hope so. Well, okay. So, I hope we manage in the next couple of weeks to see something that has something better. That we have something better to say than one of the worst films I've ever seen. Right. Okay. Cool. So let's kick off, and let us kick off with Renfield, and I will take this on. So Renfield. Those of you who are into your Dracula lore will recognize the name Renfield. And Renfield is essentially, he is Dracula's familiar. He is the guy who does all the stuff for Dracula, who looks after him during the daytime, makes sure nobody comes and opens the coffin and shines some daylight in there. And in the version of in this version that we've seen, it's played by Nicholas Hoult. And he's been Dracula's familiar for 100 years. He's in modern day America in New Orleans, and part of his job is to find people for Dracula to eat, because Dracula has recently come a cropper against some. It looks like this film has a lot of homages, I feel, to Hammer horror and Universal Draculas of yesteryears of the 60s and 70s. So you have this when you first see Dracula in this film, he's having a battle with some priests with with the peaked hat and everything like that, with a cross and a very power of Christ compels you kind of thing going on. And in that battle, Dracula ends up extremely weakened. and so he has to be nursed back to health by Renfield finding him bodies and bringing them to him. But when we meet Renfield has been doing this for 100 years, and he's beginning to wonder, maybe this is not the best thing to do and not the best way to spend his now eternal life, which is just being slave to a toxic boss who just yells at him for not bringing him enough cheerleaders to eat. So you meet Nicholas Hoult where he's like, this is Renfield, and he's beginning to think, maybe I should get out of this. And he's going along to like self-help groups where people are complaining about toxic relationships that they're in. And he's talking about his toxic relationship, which is with Dracula. And and there's a whole bunch of different things that's going on in here. Now, that for me, I think is a kick-ass premise. A kick-ass premise of a film. Renfield has gotten tired of Dracula. Renfield and Dracula in a toxic relationship. Renfield is trying to get out of it. Now, I think that's a really good comedic premise for a film, which I have to say, I'm going to jump right in there and say I feel that this film largely wastes. And there's bits about it at the beginning where I'm not as conversant with all the Draculas as I think Shaun is. But I know that the first shots of this film, they've recreated shots from the Bela Lugosi Dracula, and they've essentially superimposed Nicolas Cage as Bela Lugosi, and Nicholas Hoult as the Renfield from the 1930s Universal Dracula, and they've superimposed that, and that's quite funny. That's quite good. That's quite everything. And I feel like there's a lot of references to a lot of other Dracula stuff and a lot of other Dracula lore that I wouldn't get because I'm not as big a Dracula fan. But I do feel like the premise is a great A premise that I don't think the film delivers on. Shaun, what did you think?
Okay, well, I mean, you're exactly right. There's a lot of very much so, and it was a great premise for a film, and I thought, contrary to you, I thought it was really, really good. I thought it was incredibly well done. And I really liked the meeting. You know what I mean? I really liked the meetings.
Yeah.
And the times when Nick Cage totally overhamming it sort of appears. I mean, it was I mean, I was thinking that I wouldn't like some of the real, shall we say, gory stuff, you know, and dismemberment and what have you. I thought, you know, normally with me, I'm like quite, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great premise. I enjoyed the meetings with the people, and
the sort of like they call themselves something like Grab or something like that. It's Grab, it's people in, it's like anonymous, as like, you know, toxic relationships,
relationships. Yeah, I quite like that. I thought I know it was sort of over the top, and they were real caricatures of people that go to these meetings. They were like, you know, you had the people, you know, like obviously the leader was very much, oh yes, that's it, you know, yes, that's right.
Yes, come on, you can do it. You can do it.
You know, you've got to say, yes, I am in a toxic relationship, you know, and they're like, hey, all clapping and stuff. So I thought they were quite good caricatures of this. But on the whole, I was surprised at this. I was surprised how much I enjoyed this movie. I think maybe because there were many references to some vampire movies, and Nick Cage.
No, I think Nicolas Cage
cannot take himself seriously. Can't take anyone seriously, and it's just like totally over the top, which suited the movie.
And it 100% suited the movie.
And I have to say, I was laughing out loud. There was too many people in there. There wasn't too many people in there, but there's a couple of moments where I'm trying to think what the moments were. But there was a chap in the front that had obviously was with a disabled person, and someone behind, and we were in hysterics. You know, like laughter must be infectious. But we were like, there were moments where we were laughing out loud. We were.
I would wager that those moments you were laughing out loud were all had to do with Nicolas Cage being on screen.
Yes, I think so.
Because this is him giving it his biggest Bela Lugosi, and he is like you know, the sort of like the old school camp as anything Dracula. This is Nicolas Cage turning everything up to 11 in his campness of Dracula and everything, and how he goes about it, and when he talks to Renfield, and even when he does, sure.
there's another the bit I like as well is when he turns up at the the mafia ladies, the top mafia
Yes,
ladies'
yeah,
house.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like, I think that was quite funny. Oh, enchanted. You know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? It's,
He's like, Enchante. Oh,
yeah, enchanted.
Shore Agda.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
really.
it has Shore Agdashlu in this film as a mafia boss, and Shore Agdashlu has one of the best voices
Yeah.
ever. She straight up has one of the best voices ever. She's brilliant. But I think so. I feel like there were too many different things that they but I feel like there's too many because there's the idea of Dracula as a mafia boss, which I think is another great idea
Yeah.
that doesn't get enough screen time. It's almost so chucked. And then there's a bit where it's like, okay, what happens if Dracula has a whole bunch of, so Dracula is usually in a world where it's kind of like he is the evil and everybody else is trying to be like, puritanical and all that kind of stuff. Oh, let's get rid of the evil. But now if you put Dracula in modern day world, you have people who are willingly saying, yeah, Dracula, we'll sign up for that. And I feel like that's another idea that does not get enough screen time in this film. It doesn't get enough screen time. And the thing is, there are funny bits in it, but I feel like the film becomes generic as you go along. It becomes like a generic sort of action comedy, and it becomes like it's like, oh, good idea. Well, we're gonna have to shove some plot in here and move this thing along. Then, okay. Oh, this guy's become Dracula's new familiar. What we're gonna? Oh, no, we don't have time for that. So I just felt like it. Sean,
I can see where you're coming from with that. I can see with that what you noticed
in
with
the
it,
end,
and I can appreciate what you're saying.
Yeah, in the end, it felt a little bit by the numbers.
Yeah,
like the way the plot developed and what happened in the film, I felt like this is many films I've seen before, and I was disappointed because as I said with Nicolas Cage, with that performance, with that premise, I feel like this could have been a laugh a minute thing, and unfortunately, it wasn't for me. This just about limps in like a Dracula desiccated corpse that has been burned by sunlight into a 3 for me. Just about gets into a 3 for me.
Just about a 3. That well for me, this is a 4 for me. I really enjoyed this movie. This is an easy 4. I thought it was a 4 when I watched it first of all.
Okay.
But no, I enjoyed this immensely. As I say, I laughed out loud. It was even now, and I mean, and I thought I really liked the mafia scene with the mafia hoods and the sun and all that, and I quite liked that part of it, and I thought he was quite yeah. I don't know. No, I enjoyed this. I'm going to give this for me. It's a 4 star.
Yeah. No, it is. He's played by Ben Schwartz, and I've seen Ben Schwartz do that in everything that he's in. So Ben Schwartz pretty much plays that character. Everything he's in.
Super hard, and like, or he's got an outward appearance of like, oh, don't mess with me, super hard, and he's
a
really
wimp.
Deep down, he's a wimp.
He's an absolute wimp. Yeah, no, but I've seen Ben Schwartz.
That's the bit that we laughed out well at, is like when because he sort of says, oh yeah, when he becomes like the new familiar, he's like, no, I'm not familiar, no, I'm doing all this. Oh,
it's like no, he doesn't control me, master. So
yeah. So no, I enjoyed this.
All right, cool. So we will stop talking about that because Holly and Sharon are just so excited. They're like, yeah, whatever. We didn't see this. So
I want to see it though. I still want to see it.
Yes, I'm inclined to say I want to see it as well.
But I do think because I heard some other people on other podcasts having a discussion, and the person who was down with their horror folklore, it was exactly the same, gave it a 4, and the other people said, well, I wasn't too sure about it, and because I think similar thing with Superfan Nina. We have like a thread now on WhatsApp where Superfan Nina and I are talking about the film, and we're like, yeah, what about that? What about that? What but to say much else would just be spoilers, and trying to give away the film's best jokes but just telling them badly. So we will move on. And so that's 3.5 stars for Renfield, the Netflix Cinema Amalgamated score. And now we go over to The Good Nurse. So this is on Netflix. Holly, please take it away.
Okay, so it is based on a true story. And the premise is that Jessica Chastain is an intensive care nurse who has a heart condition and is relatively new to her job. She's a single parent, and she's in need of her health insurance kicking in. And obviously, it feels a little bit alien to us in the UK, what with not needing health insurance.
Yeah.
And she is doing everything she can to keep going until she's been in the job for long enough for her health insurance to kick in. She gets a new colleague played by Eddie Redmayne, who is another nurse, and he proves to be very supportive of her and wants to work to help her, keep the job going, make sure that she's okay health wise. He's helps out with the kids. She's got these two children as a single mother, and very early on, one of her patients dies, not entirely out of the blue, but somewhat unexpectedly. And some months later, the hospital contact the police saying that we've got an investigation underway into whether or not this, was a natural death. And they're uncooperative with the police having called them. And it becomes increasingly apparent that it's her friend who is responsible for this and for other deaths. It's not the first time such things have made the news. So that the overall premise is then the work to try to catch him and understand what has happened, what he's done, and ultimately get to the bottom of it in an American hospital environment where they don't like confronting problems. I suspect hospitals here may have the same issues.
Not as bad, but yes.
So that's really the summary of it. I very much enjoyed it. Well, insofar as one can enjoy something that's ultimately about somebody killing people in hospital, which isn't terribly cheerful. I thought it was well acted. I thought it was interesting, and and based on current news in the UK, obviously this isn't babies, but we've got had recent news about a trial for nurse being responsible for the death of babies. It feels quite appropriate timing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I would give it a solid 4. And
all right.
It is going to be on my could potentially watch again list, because everything is on my could potentially watch again list.
Well, even the Deep House.
No, that's on my could watch again list. That is one of the few films that is not make it onto the could watch.
That's how you have truly messed up your filmmaking career. Exactly. When Hollywood will refuse to rewatch something you have made.
And I would probably watch Avalanche Sharks again. So that tells you just how bad.
Okay,
so watch The Good Nurse, don't watch Deep House.
Yeah, so this is an interesting film because, as you said, they don't seem to shy away from the fact that I think quite early on, I think even in the trailer for this, the first scene you have is somebody asking Eddie Redmayne, "Is it true? Is it true what you did? Is it true what they said?" So they don't shy away from the fact that and everything about this guy. That I said, I watched the documentary that was based on the book that this film is based on, and the documentary was called "Catching the Killer Nurse." So, in which they said this guy Charlie, can't remember his last name, but they reckon that he might be the most prolific serial killer that the US has ever seen, because he's been working in hospitals for 10 years. People have died suspiciously at every hospital that he's worked at. And all that happens is that the hospital investigates and then just say, okay, we won't say anything about it if you just never work here again. And then they pass him on to the next hospital, and he goes to the next hospital and it kicks off again. And I think if I'm correct, there's bits of this film where they intimate that that's part of the problem. The part of the problem is because healthcare is a business in America, people are thinking, it's kind of like shareholders thinking about the bottom line, and they think, oh my God, if people found out that we had a killer nurse in here, our share price is going to go down, pretty much.
And what will we be liable for? Will there be endless, wrongful death lawsuits because we, didn't get this person who killed people out of the hospital?
Yeah, yeah, and so instead of taking liability, they just want to get rid of the guy, and then they don't strike him off or anything. But and I said it's obviously this kind of stuff is a bit close to home for me because my wife is a doctor, and you were talking about we've had recent doctor strikes and everything. Part of it is about bad working conditions and the fact that hospitals like to let doctors get in the neck. And if you'll excuse me for just give me 30 seconds. Give me 30 seconds to go on a soapbox, because the a hospital that my wife was working at actually had two doctors who died, like not just died, two doctors who killed themselves while at work, and the hospital just kept quiet about it. They didn't tell anybody about it. Some of the doctors who actually worked with the doctors who died did not find out until they found out they weren't told by the hospital. They were told by through WhatsApp threads going, has anybody seen this person? Has anybody said, oh, you haven't heard? And the hospital said nothing about it. They just sort of kept quiet about it because they were like, yeah, no, nothing to do with us. And so it is a problem. It is a film that I think could be accused of being an important film with a capital I, but it is. But I have to admit, after watching the documentary, I didn't really feel the need to watch the film. So,
No,
but,
I think it's very much one, or you wouldn't need to do both.
yeah.
But I think you could watch the film and then follow it up with the documentary, but I'm not sure you'd want to do it the other way around.
Yeah, probably to see what there's probably things that have been covered up and all that. But anyway, so The Good Nurse, 4 stars for The Good Nurse, and let us move on to back to cinema and to the film which I think might be the review of the evening. And this is us with if Sharon's face is anything to go by, I'm going to enjoy this. So this is Assassin Club that Shaun and Sharon went to see. So Sharon, tell us a little bit about what Assassin Club's about.
Okay, Assassin Club is a modern day thriller, and the main protagonist of the show is a character played by Henry Fielding, who is an assassin.
Henry Golding, I think.
Henry Golding.
Yeah,
was it? Sorry,
you said Fielding.
Fielding. I'm sorry, Henry Golding. Yeah. What was I thinking of? Oh, yeah, no, sorry. Yes, he is an assassin. He was an orphan boy who then rose up through the British educational system. He joined the Marines, and then he was recruited to become a sniper, and then he has been recruited into the world of assassination, and on the premise that he only kills bad guys or people who deserve it, as if he's any judge. And his handler is played by Sam Neill, and he basically organizes the jobs, organizes the intel, so that they can sort of target that they can be focused in on their targets. So whilst at his mission, his job, to take a target out, he then becomes under attack himself. And it's not just a random attack, it seems to be another assassin is attacking him. And then he goes back to his handler, and it turns out that there is, they call it like a game, but there's like these 6 big hitters, the best or the worst assassins in the world. And they each have been given a contract to eliminate the others, and each one of the others they eliminate, they get £1 million bounty. And so they're basically, all the top assassins are after killing each other, and then the one who's left at the top apparently is £6 million the richer. And in order to prove that you've actually executed this contract, is you have to take a finger of one of the victims. And then as the story progresses, you find out that there's actually a bit more to it than this. There's a reason why these 6 assassins have been chosen, and that they're all connected in their past. This one particular job they're suspected of committing, and people want vengeance. But okay. I won't go into any further into that, because basically I don't want to spoil it. Though, to be honest with you, I don't think you can spoil something that's already rotten.
I was gonna go like, yeah. Let's get the plot out of the way now. Tell us what you really think. That's what we came here for. What do you think?
So I think that's the premise, and it sounds like it's that's fair enough. It's quite enough. It's a mess. The film was a mess. As these are supposed to be the world's best assassins, they were blooming hopeless. They were
incompetent assassins. I mean, you
can see them a mile. They're supposed to blend, aren't they? Like, we're going to be like, yeah, there's There's no blending about any of them, were they? They were just.
I mean, they missed with half their shots.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, what and
a sniper should only have to take one shot basically from like 2 miles away, and they're like across the street and they don't hit him.
Yeah, I mean, it started off like quite fairly. I thought, okay, because it started off with the hit like and the other one, but so I forgive that. But the rest of them are just incompetent, and I mean, I don't think you can spoil this any more than it is, but right, car chases. You know how I am with car chases.
I know, yeah, Shaun, you hate car chases.
Like spinny things and ambulances and all that. I swear to you, Tosin, all they've done in one bit of this car chase is piled up a load of rubbish, right? Just piled it all up, right? Not right in the middle, right in the point of nowhere. And the guy does one of those back wheel skid things and drives through this pile of rubbish and it just flies about. And it's just like, it's not anything. It's just rubbish that they put there.
Just in order to do a little bit of a...
Yeah, and in order to do a little bit of that. And what really annoyed me is a really sloppy screenwriting, absolutely no continuity. Because it's all right, can I just give this one spoiler?
Sure, I don't think it matters. Go for it.
Okay. So anyway, so let's just say the assassin's got a girlfriend. The girlfriend's pregnant, and then something happens, like she's being there, and it goes, oh, so you and your little girl, and then not 2 minutes later goes, so what is it, a boy or a girl? Do you know what I mean? It's like, you've got to be kidding, man. You've got to be kidding me. How can you do that? You just said you and your little girl. You and your unborn little girl, and now you're saying, is it a boy or a girl? You know, it's like, come on, dude, where's that thought about? And
it sounds like there have been an editing problem.
That tried to take itself so seriously and be so good, and it was so ridiculous. Oh, we must stay together. No, I've just got to go and get some things. Oh, that happened fast. Oh, I'll tell you what, let's go to Paris. Oh, let's go to Lisbon. That took at least all of like 30 seconds.
Half an hour.
Yeah, half an hour. Did you go there?
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, it's all over now. It's safe to come back. So
yeah, come back. Oh, definitely.
Mate.
This is
I don't think anything covered themselves in glory really at all in that one.
Yeah. You know, talking about spoiler rants, I've got a list. I've got a list as long as my arm of this. This possibly goes down as the worst film I've seen this year, probably for the last however many years. It was a mess. Like Sharon says, it was a mess.
Yeah, so you guys just have to decide between 3 or 4 stars, right?
I'll give it. I'm gonna give it 1 star. I'm gonna give it 1 star purely for the fact the only bit I liked was one of the assassins was a poisoner, and he made him a cup of tea. And he made him a cup of tea, and he said, "Oh, you can choose which one you have." And I thought, well, that makes sense, because if you was a poisoner, I wouldn't even have any of them. You know what I mean? No.
That just makes me think Princess Bride. So,
yes,
it was dire. It was awful.
Yeah, and
okay.
I must admit, there's the main characters. You think the main character is quite likable, really, but there was there's no chemistry between him and his girlfriend. I thought.
No.
So when he says, "Oh, I'm going to kill your girlfriend," we were like, "No, that's sad."
Yeah, we weren't worried.
We're just like, "Oh, okay." Well, that's a bit sad, but yeah, he'll get over it.
It's like, we're going to kill your girlfriend. Well, if you don't look like you care, why should we care?
And there's one scene where, and there's one scene where they're going through this underpass thing, and there's this sort of suspicious-looking drunk person there, and you just think, it's him. He's a bad guy, and we even see him. It's like signposted. He's a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
That guy. And then they walk past him. It's like, oh yeah, he's harmless. I'm a trained assassin. I know these things. He's harmless. Walk by. Absolutely harmless. Walks behind them. Oh, Mr. Bad Guy. Right. You must think we are completely.
I know, right? If you're an assassin, you want to do things from a distance, don't you? You've got a gun with a silencer on. You've got a gun with a suppressor with the silencer on, and you go and put it right to the back of someone's head, so that they can turn around and knock the gun away.
Turn around and grab the gun. You're not trained, are you?
You'd be okay. You're a hired assassin, for God's sake. You should be dead-eye shot. You know, a dead-eye shot. You should be able to go from a distance there. You've got your pistol, 10 yards away. Poof. Not go right up behind them, and then
the world's best assassin.
Take that gun away.
Yeah, you get. Well, we could go on, but I think you get the idea.
I think
They can't
I'm
even
getting.
shoot straight. They can't even for these top 7, 6 assassins, whatever they are in the world, can't even shoot. Or if they shoot, they miss.
Okay. This film sounds like the way it gets talking about. This film sounds like a glorious meeting of two things: of somebody who has seen some films before and gone, ooh, yeah, I want to put that in a film. And it sounds like it sounds cliche ridden, and it sounds like all the cliches that you've seen in 1,000 other films have been put into this film, and then they've done it badly,
really badly. And the thing is, the worst thing is they've left it open.
Oh no, not a sequel bait, not sequel baiting, no.
Yeah.
This sounds bad enough that I won't watch it.
Yeah,
and they do watch Avalanche Shark.
It's just that I would probably prefer Avalanche Shark, quite frankly. But they do the whole thing where there's like an arch nemesis for this, isn't there always? And
yeah.
It's like you think they've been killed, and it's like they're not dead. We know they're not dead. You know they're not dead. They're not dead because you don't see them die. You see them like going, "Oh, I'm passing out. I'm going.
Yeah.
Oh, everyone assumes, they're dead. It's like, if we haven't seen them die, they're not dead. We know that, you know that, we all know that. And then, what? Surprise, surprise, they're not dead.
So the filmmakers are hoping that this is a film that has been seen by somebody who's never seen a film before.
Never seen a film before, exactly.
And
there's no peril. Yeah, there's no peril involved. There's no sort of tension, or there's no sort of like, what's going to happen next? It's like, we know exactly what's going to happen.
Oh,
and we don't care.
Okay, so how many stars would we give this?
1.
You give it 1. I would probably go. I was 1. Yeah, 1. I was going to go 2, thinking I don't want to be a complete meanie because
I do.
But I think it's a 1 film, really.
Well, then is Sharon. The way you've just spoken about the film, if you said 2. I don't think we would have believed you.
You wouldn't believe.
I don't think we would have been oh, that's Sharon. That's Sharon being all Christian again.
It's like, no, it's a 1 film. But it was one of those films where normally when we go to the cinema together, if Shaun doesn't like a film, he fidgets. You're a fidget if you don't like a film. And I was the fidgety one yesterday because I'm just a bit fidgety now.
Yeah, funny enough, I was conscious not to do that. I thought I don't want to be too puffy and cross my legs and jump about. And then Sharon took over from me, so I was quite pleased.
Yeah, so I was one who kept shifting about, yawning, moving my feet, trying to sort of not drift off. Because even and then you're thinking, should I just have a quick snooze while I'm watching this? And then I thought, no, I'll stay awake. I'll stay with it, and then I'll have to keep fidgeting just to keep, stay in the zone.
Okay,
stay in the room, people. Yeah.
So 1 star for Assassin Club. But speaking about drifting off while you're watching something, has anybody been watching the latest season of The Mandalorian?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Shaun.
There's only 1 episode that I haven't seen, I think. Which is the latest one.
Okay. Please tell me it gets better, because I've watched the first 2. I've watched the first 2 episodes, and this.
We might have to save this, Toes. We might
have to
save
it. I know, because I watched the first 2 episodes, and essentially I was halfway through the second one. I was like, I need to take a break. What happened? What happened to this? Because when they say show, don't tell. There's so much telling. It's kind of like exposition. It's like the Mandalorian. It's almost as if he's going, okay, Grogu, I'm going to fly the plane now. And now I'm going to get out of the plane. And I'm going to walk over to the sphere. And now I'm going to go speak to Grief Karga. Oh, and now I'm going to think about taking my blaster out. And I'm going to touch my blaster. But it's like, he's like giving a running commentary on everything he's doing. And this is a guy who for the first 2 seasons has hardly said a word. And now all of a sudden, he's like, Chris Rock on stage or something like that. But anyway.
We'll save that. I think we'll be able to do it really soon, because you need to catch up then. You need to catch up quick.
I need to catch up. I need to watch. Oh my God, there's 6 of the episodes. I need to catch up with 6 episodes by next week, and then we can talk about it, because I hope it gets better. But anyway, let's go on to our final thing this evening. Now we are going to talk about The Night Agent. So Holly, you and Sharon have both seen this. So Holly, give us a quick pressy. What is this about?
I think it's Sharon's turn to.
No, you can start, and I'll just chip in.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Sharon is still a little bit tuckered out from
Still a bit
talking
like,
about Assassin Creed, Assassin
Yeah.
Club.
We could do. I tell you what, we could form an Assassin's Club, and I'm damn sure we'd be a lot better than those guys.
it probably should.
It's like we have seen at least 2 films, so we know what not to do.
Yeah. It feels very like, have you not watched Scream?
Yeah,
everybody knows you've got to shoot them in the head.
Yes.
So, Night Agent. The premise is it's a series on Netflix for a start. It's 10 episodes, or
10 episodes.
10 episodes, and it begins with an FBI agent who is on a subway train and and notices something a little bit suspicious, and rushes over, and it turns out that somebody has a bomb in a bag, and he manages to get people off the train, and obviously this is good, and he goes running after the person who he thought he'd seen do it, and isn't able to successfully catch them. It turns out that he is suspected then of being behind the bombing. Alongside this, he finds himself a liaison between the FBI and the White House, and is asked to cover the phones for a sub-agency called I can't even
Night
remember.
Watch or something.
Night Watch, and all his job is to answer the phone. At the same time, you have a tech startup Wiz who had set up a data monitoring company that provided.
She was a white hat, wasn't she, for cybercrime?
Yeah. And it then becomes apparent that things have gone wrong for her, and she is off with her aunt and uncle, who have been her surrogate parents for most of her life. Stuff happens, and she ends up in contact with aforementioned FBI agent, and they end up trying to unpick a conspiracy.
Dun dun dun.
And I know one should be able to. How much can one say without giving too much away? Sharon, I suspect you'll be more insightful here than I will as to what's not a spoiler.
Well,
I think
I'll tell you
it's not
what.
a spoiler.
So carry on, Sharon.
Like I say, it's not a spoiler to say that this conspiracy goes to the highest levels of government. So they're looking at government, CIA, and FBI, and this sort of tangled web between them. And it's sort of unraveling these threads that make up this web of deceit, deception, and misdirection.
Does anybody at any point say this goes all the way to the top?
I don't think so, but I wouldn't rule it out.
No.
Okay. This is a show that I've heard about. I've seen the trailer and everything. And my thing is this anything other than a wannabe 24?
Yes.
It's more than a wannabe 24.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like 24 at all.
Okay.
No, I didn't get that feeling from it when I watched it.
Okay. All right. Okay. Cool.
No, it doesn't feel like it's trying to be anything else any more than, all, dramas of, spy, murder, mystery, conspiracy things all have, elements of commonality to them.
And tropes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think it didn't feel like it was massively derivative.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So, what did you guys think? What did you guys think about it?
I liked it.
Me too. I found it really, really watchable, and it's again because isn't it always there? It's lined up for a second series, clearly.
Yeah. Yeah, there's obviously they've got another. I don't know if it's based on a series of books or something because the way it was shaped, I thought this sort of watched like it was like a novel would unfold. You get these reveals, and then you suddenly get another bit like, oh, I didn't see that coming, and you get these twists and turns. But what's interesting, there was a few sort of big name actors who would appear, and you're thinking, oh, well, they're here for the long run, and they'd actually only appear in 1 or 2 episodes. You think, well, that's actually quite an interesting use of some of these better known actors where they sort of come but they don't take over. So there's some interesting sort of pop-ups in it.
Yeah, it was. I found it very, very watchable, and I wasn't annoyed to get to the end of it and think, oh, for heaven's sakes, we're lined up for a.
How many episodes is it? How many episodes?
10.
10.
I did that amateur mistake though. I made the amateur mistake if I watched this over a couple of evenings, and I thought there were 8 episodes. So I did sort of like a 3 and a 3, and I thought, oh, hello, this is not sort of winding up. And then I ended up thinking, I thought this was number 8. I thought this was the final. And then it was like, oh, okay, I've got another 2 to go. So I ended up sort of watching it till like 1:30 in the morning, thinking I might as well. I'm committed now. Only got 2 to go. I might as well just keep going with it. So yeah, I made the amateur mistake of not working out how many episodes before I'd planned my evening's viewing.
Okay, good. So I take that as a good sign that it was something that actually made you think, oh, I'll keep on going. I'll keep on going till the end, as opposed to, oh, can't be bothered. This isn't Shaun and I both stopping at exactly the same point halfway through Persuasion and just going, no, can't do it anymore. Can't do it anymore.
And it was 10 episodes was right as well. It wasn't too long. It didn't drag, and it wasn't full of massive padding.
Yeah.
I mean, some of it is ridiculous.
Oh, yes.
But it's not trying to pretend it's not ridiculous.
No. I would question their level of security if they help, because there's one point where they get into this very secure place, like by hiding in the back of the car. And it was like,
you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, I think that is probably not how I would expect to get into a very secure place.
Are we back on the Assassin Club, by the way? are we talking about? Okay, two things. Number one, it is based on a book.
Excellent.
It is based on a book by the same name by Matthew Quirk, and apparently it's got Hong Chow in it. Okay, nobody knows who that is. Oh no, nobody knows who that is. Hong Chow, Shaun. She was the second lead in The Whale. And
she's very good in it.
Oh right, okay.
I know who you mean.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh no,
yeah.
she's fantastic. Yeah, really. We like her. We like her. Did she win it? Did she win the supporting actor? She was nominated at least, wasn't she?
She was nominated. I'm not sure whether she was nominated at the Oscars, but she definitely didn't win it.
Okay.
But I know people have been talking about her at other things, and they're nominated at other things.
It's there is in it the for any Studio 60 lovers the woman lawyer in it in Studio 60 is in this as well and plays the president.
That reminds me back to Renfield. Was old Awkwafina. I quite liked her in that.
Yeah.
Renfield. I thought she was really good in that.
Yeah, yeah. you and I have varying experiences of that film, shall we say? I feel she has been used better elsewhere.
Right. Okay.
All right, cool. So, how many stars for The Night Agents?
I'd go in with a 4.
Yeah, same.
All right. Okay. Not bad.
I liked it. I'd watch it. If it had another series, I'd watch it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I liked it. I thought their characters were likable.
Yep. And I reckon you guys would probably enjoy it.
All right. Okay, cool. But I was going to say, although Sharon, seeing as you saw this in the same week as you saw Assassin Club, that could have because I remember that. Have you ever had the whole experience where you see a really bad film in the same week as you see an okay film, and then all of a sudden you think of the okay film is amazing?
Yeah.
But to be fair, I had also seen Deep House in the same week. So
Exactly.
I saw Night Agent last week, so I had a bit of a gap.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, cool. Okay, there's a
And
buffer.
I have started on another series as well, so I'm expecting to have that finished by next week.
Yeah, I've seen stuff. So Sharon. Okay, first of all, who do you think has won this week?
Oh, Netflix all streaming platforms by a mile. Totally.
It's like, yeah, my maths not being the best in the world, but I think I can add up. 1 and 1 equals. So
Yeah.
I think I would go with streaming and Netflix and Friends.
Yes, Netflix and Friends, because Assassin Club, you did cinema bad, you did cinema down. But so Sharon, have you ever heard of Hello Sunshine, the production company Hello Sunshine?
Yes.
Yeah, owned by Reese Witherspoon, and who seem dedicated to the sole purpose is to find best-selling novels and turn them into screen offerings, be they films or TV shows. Yeah, and I saw one of these. I saw one that's called Tiny Beautiful Things. Now, this is not to be confused with Tiny Pretty Things, because there is a show on Netflix called Tiny Pretty Things. There's a show on Disney Plus called Tiny Beautiful Things. They are two different shows. But I'm beginning to think that we're running out of titles, guys. I mean, there's so much TV being done that, especially thinking about the fact that within the last 3 months, there have been 2 shows released, both called The Diplomat. One of them on Netflix about an American being a diplomat in London. One of them about a British diplomat on ITVX in Barcelona. But they both have exactly the same title. It's getting a bit confusing out there. But yeah, I've saw that. I was wondering. I was like, whoa, Sharon. I mean, you love books that have been turned into other things and everything like that. So yeah, you should follow the Hello Sunshine feed and just find what they're working on next.
Yeah. I do, and sometimes it will inspire me to read the book. Though often I tend to if I watch something I know this is based on a book, in my head I think you got to read it first. You got to have that Scrabble to read it first, so that you don't have the film images in your mind when you're reading it. But sometimes I would do it the other way around.
Yeah, I used to like to do that. I used to try and do that, and then life happened.
Yeah.
I remember I watched pieces of her before I read the book.
Oh yeah.
And they were quite different.
Yes.
Is the book any better?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, I think I know we've had this conversation a few times, but with book characters and film characters, it is depends what you do, and that's where I thought Lord of the Rings nailed it, because that was one of the few films where the characters were as I pictured them in the book, or roughly how I pictured them in the book, which I thought was really good. And I mean, I read when I was into the old Clint in the background. I remember I had the paperbacks. I wish I still had them because they're worth something, but like Fistful of Dollars and a few dollars more. And I read it, and it was just the film, really. It was the film written, it was just a book written.
I think I've got some of those books upstairs.
Yeah.
Ooh, could be worth. As Shaun said, get them on eBay. Okay,
yeah,
so
I mean,
anyway.
it's surprising now. Film memorabilia and film. I used to have loads. I used to have like a whole stack of paperbacks of the films. Like mainly westerns, and I mean, I did used to read. Is there an Edge series? Because I did used to read Edge. Is there? You haven't seen it, have you, Sharon?
Oh yeah, I'm aware of Edge, the westerns. Yeah, the whole load of them.
Is it? Have you? You haven't seen them though. Are they available?
Films?
No. Well, the films all that. Yeah, the films all.
I'm aware of the books. I knew they made some films like the sort of the lowish budget type western.
Yeah.
Films, but I have seen a couple of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
They pop up on the odd random. A film channel that doesn't have anything that was made in the last 30 years, and everything that's on there is sort of slightly low budget.
Movies.
There used to be the books I used to read was Jubalcade and Edge.
Yes, they're like companion novel series. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm aware of them.
Right. So I think it is time to sign off.
Okay.
I think we might have got to that stage. So until next week, when I have no clue what's in the cinema, I do not know what we shall be seeing.
I think there's a fair old bit out next week. I hope.
All right.
Well, I hope to see a bit more, but I mean, I have been sort of looking at other things, and I've been sort of watching the football too, and working a bit late, sometimes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, even the great cinema goer of Shaun sometimes has life catch up with him and pull him out of the cinema and say, get back to all the boring stuff that the rest of us have to do.
That is life, yeah.
But all right, until next week. Thank you so much for joining us. Find us on Twitter. Find us on YouTube at Netflix via Cinema. Leave us a review on any way you listen to your podcast and get in touch with us. Let us know what you think about our reviews. Let us know what you thought about the films that we spoke about if you have seen them as well. But until next week, it's a goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from me.
And a goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.
I always love seeing that and seeing who's going to jump in there and take it.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. Goodbye.